Hello and welcome to another episode of Motoring Middle East. Today I'm checking out something very funky and very cool. It is the Toyota CHR Hybrid and it's all new to the region. It's basically a Euro style funky little hatchback. Only available as a hybrid. That means it comes with a 1.8 litre 4-cylinder engine and electric motor, all married up to a CVT driving the front wheels. And if you're thinking, wow, that doesn't sound very powerful, you'd be right. It's about 96 horsepower. And you think, wow, okay, well hopefully it's cheap. No, it's not very cheap either. It's 86,000 dirhams for this car, and this one, as it sits right here, is 93,000 dirhams. You saw my voice just go up. 93,000 dirhams for a small European style hatchback. I mean, we saw a Volkswagen Golf, so how is Toyota getting away with charging this much money? Okay, it's a hybrid, but that doesn't explain it, surely. But hold on a minute. I actually think this is one of the very best Toyotas on sale today, and if you're being very smart, it's a really cool buy. Let's find out why. So what do I think of the exterior design of the CHR? Well, I got to be honest with you, I think it's an absolute knockout. Look at the way these fenders just rise and fall, these really aggressive headlamps. And you've got of course the famous blue badge which denotes that this is a hybrid. There is a 4-cylinder petrol version without a hybrid available in other markets, without a manual. But I think here they just want to sell the hybrid, which is a shame because I'd like to see what a manual version of this car is like. The wheels are a little plain. You've got this split spoke throwing star design, but that's okay. The fenders are so aggressive. Look how much they stick out proud of the body. And if you think the front fenders are crazy, boy, wait till you get to the back fenders. Look at this. It's practically a Renault, a Peugeot of the 1990s. And look how much this headlamp sticks out. It's like the thrusters on a spaceship. Really like it. And of course, here's something that you've probably not noticed. Where are the rear door handles? Look, how do you get into the car? There's no actual way to get into the door handles. But there is. Check it out here. This is the door handle. And I like that they got two-tone roof, by the way. All the cars in the Middle East are two-tone roofs. So you've got black top, red bottom in this case. And I'm sure there are other combinations. So pull and you get access to your rear doors. How cool is that? I really like this car and the design perspective. I mean, it's got a little spoiler. I mean, probably doesn't do anything. It's a front-wheel drive car, but you can dream. It's got little inlets at the top as well for air to pass through. That's a really shallow rear window, so it makes me think visibility through the back is not great. And you'd be right. Now, somebody said to me that this car is designed for women because it's so fashionable and funky. And I completely reject that. I think men would like this car just as much. Anybody who appreciates good design is going to like this car. There's nothing gender-based about it. And I think everybody can appreciate it. So no, I don't think women will like it. And again, I am one of the rare men that also liked the Land Rover, or should I say Range Rover Evoque as well. What a gorgeous car. Love this color. Nothing bad at all to say. Look how little aggressive these little indents are on the rear bumper. It does have rear parking sensors and a rear camera. Kind of hard to find, really. Alright, here's the big disappointment. There is literally no boot space. That's my average size bag. You can put maybe one suitcase for two people. I mean, it's really tiny in here. I think you can drop the rear seats, but it's not great. And underneath, of course, full-size spare. Some cubby holes as well where you can maybe put stuff. I don't think it's really designed for it. It's more like saddlebags. But yeah, pretty much a non-existent boot, which is a shame. But then again, all that style has to pay a price. Alright, let's see if you pay a price in the rear seat as well. Because you're probably thinking, wow, the rear seat is tiny, right? Guess again. It's a long time since I've been in the back of a truly small car. And make no mistake, the CHR is a small car, a small premium hatchback, if you will. But actually, despite the exterior making you think there's going to be like a dungeon, it's not so bad in the back. I thought I'd have no headroom and no legroom, but look at me right here. I've got enough legroom, I've got space for a pocket. I've got a surprising amount of headroom despite the incredibly sloping roof. So it's not bad. Visibility is not great. So I've got this huge C-pillar here, quite plasticky. And this C-pillar is really pretty much cutting out all my forward visibility. So it is a little bit sort of claustrophobic. And on that note as well, you've got this rear seat entertainment system, which is pointless because nobody's going to be watching like Finding Nemo in the back of this car. Even the headphones are so close to you that you feel really cramped. If you took it away, I think it would actually make the car a lot better. But it's reasonable. You got space here. I mean, there's no center armrest. But I can excuse it because I don't think there's a center seat. I think this is actually a 4-seater. Like there's space for 1 and 2 people. But there's no way in hell you'd want somebody to sit in the middle of this. There's cup holders in the doors. There is nothing apart from this bizarrely huge rear seat entertainment system. And if you're thinking, where's the USBs? There are none. There are no USBs. There are no rear seat vents. But luckily the AC is pretty strong. What you do get, which I quite like, is a sort of hexagonal design for the doors. And I'll see it in the front as well. I'll give you a bit of a close-up. It's a funky car. It's a funky car for two people, and they're sometimes friends. So what do I think of the interior of the Toyota CHR? Well, it's very modern. And I mean that the nicest possible way. But it actually harks back Toyotas of old. Like in the old days, the dashboards of Toyota were kind of angled, canted towards the driver. And this one is as well. I'll come back to the dashboard, but I want to look at some of the materials first. Look at the seats. They've got this sort of diamond stitch thing, but it's not leather, it's cloth. This is sort of a vinyl part cloth thing. Pretty comfortable. Other Toyota, all the seats in Toyotas now have this kind of aggressive shoulder bolstering, which makes the seat more comfortable. On the dashes, you've got this nice sort of soft touch up here, padding. You've got this really cool tech pattern, which is sort of like a quilted hexagon interlocking data design. I don't know what it is, but it's cool. I love that it's repeated down here on the lower part of the dash as well. Piano black, kind of not so crazy about, but it's an old thing, but I think still popular enough at the OEM level. Not much to look at for the passenger, but the driver gets a pretty cool screen. This is the start of standard Toyota screen now. So if I look at it, you got home, etc. This is what the engine's doing right now. The car is running completely on electric motor. So when you sit at rest, it's running completely on electric. That means when you stop at a stoplight, you're maybe just sitting in your parking space, everything including the AC runs off electric motor, which means you're not putting any emissions out at all. Audio, sound system is pretty good, can't complain. It's a thumbs up. Sound system is pretty solid, can't complain. For a small car, feels like pretty bassy. I mean, I want to show you this, but it's the same as any system that you've seen in any Toyota the last 2 years. Not so famous Toyota clock. Big button. Now this is kind of cool because on the Defender in particular, I complained about this, that you couldn't find the emergency flashes button, and this is right there. Hard to miss. AC is very strong, can't complain. You've got dual zone AC, so you've got automatic AC and you've got another zone down here. You've got an eco mode. I haven't used it. You won't either. It's got nano. Is that like a Robin Williams thing from Mork and Mindy? If you know what that is, you're old. You've got a little cubby down here, which I think can take a cell phone. There's not too much space to store stuff. There is one USB down here. There is one cup holder, I guess. Gear stick down here. You've got PRND B. B is braking, I think. I really like to look at this with this gear stick, by the way. It's not metal. It's like a plastic, which is cool because it doesn't burn up your hands in the summer. Very cool. It's got hold for the parking brake. Let's be honest, that's pretty handy. Full EV mode, so you just press a button. It says it can't do it. That's why it does all the time, by the way. Whenever the battery is too low, it won't go to full EV mode. But that means it'll basically use EV mode as much as possible. Traction control, who's going to turn off traction control on a CHR? Another small little cup holder down here, which is a bit dirty. And a small cubby with a 12-volt socket. What's happening on the dashboard? Well, you've got basically what passes for a rev counter now. It says charge, eco, and power. So the more you rev, the more it goes up. I don't know why it doesn't give us a tachometer. It's pointless. Car stays pretty cool, of course. You've got a really nice dash display that does all the functions. I'm pressing the wrong button, aren't I? Right. That goes to G monitor, elapsed time. Running purely on EV for quite a long time now. Engine starts up once in a while, but it's not a big deal. 5.9 liters per 100. So this basically sips gas like a super mini. And of course, range, average speed, energy monitor. So this is basically the main screen up here, but duplicated down here, which is quite handy to have sometimes. And speed, etc. I love that they have an analog gauge and it's around this huge tunnel submarine style view. I love it. This is the way I like to look at dials. I don't like digital clusters, and this is pretty good. Old school gauges for the win. Like all Toyotas, the controls ergonomically are a little iffy sometimes. So you have the trip button down here, which is odd because I don't use it that often. I don't know why it has to be like in my thumb position. This is a 4-way rocker switch, except it's not a 4-way rocker switch. It's actually one switch that looks like a 4-way. So when you press it, the entire thing moves. So it's kind of weird. Like, I know it's just cheaper. Basically, they could have had 4 switches. They have one switch that just tilts. Famous Toyota cruise control. This thing has to date back 100 years at least. Well, not 100 years, but it's pretty old. Down here, we've got the same problem as on the right-hand side. This is one button to do everything, but it just tilts whichever way you want it to go. So this is track down, track up, and volume. You also pick up, cancel, and voice commands. But they're so piano black that I can't actually find them. So often I'm just like, I don't know where they are. I can't find them. They're not great designs because they should sit out a bit more proud so I can feel them. But overall, it's a nice steering wheel. It's nice to hold. It's good quality leather. This car's had 11,000 hard kilometers. Doesn't feel like it. Feels rock solid. And overall, pretty nice cabin. Only thing left to do is put it on the road, see where we stand. So what do I think of the CHR? Well, I like that in many ways it's a classic Toyota. You've got the reliability, the sort of proven nature of the drivetrain under the bonnet. But inside, it's all madness and crazy organic shapes and sort of gooiness to it, which I really like. I like the Toyota always has this like battle between its design and its sort of very conservative roots. Now, for example, German cars, which this is definitely in some ways an emulation of, are always a little bit boring on the interior, very sober, very conservative. I like Mazdas because they sort of have that little bit of flair, that little bit of Italian passion, but with that engineering, reliable, mechanical nature. And this car is Toyota getting back to the roots of things, and Japanese cars doing what they should, which is be reliable, but also interesting. Interesting, man. This car is interesting. It's not fast. This is foot to the floor. 100 horsepower, 120 horsepower. It's basically a Prius drivetrain. But I like it. I just like it. This TNGA platform that underpins all these modern Toyotas. Really nice steering, even feel. I would say it has a decent steering feel. I would say, the better about is response. The steering responds off idle very nicely. When I say idle, I mean off center. But it does mean that there isn't a whole lot of feedback coming from the road. But who cares? The handling is just cars. I just drove the Highlander recently. A Highlander, a family vehicle. That's a family vehicle that you want to get that one. But it just felt like this. It felt so nimble and poised and balanced. There's a little bit of roll tucking you into a corner to let you know that the car is turning. There's that body roll which I like. I like body roll. It tells you how much the car is leaning. I don't like cars that just flatly turn. Look how much immediate response is there off center. Immediately the car moves. It's like a little terrier. But the car just feels so alive and poised, like the way an Alfa Romeo does. Now the German cars are just kind of so boring. They're basically very fast. They're faster than this. They put the numbers down, but they've got no soul. Neither does this drivetrain have any soul, if I'm being very honest with you. It's just a Prius drivetrain, but it's very, very good on gas. I mean really good on gas. I think, let me look at it now. The little range meter tells me I've got 375 kilometers left, and I've used just over a quarter tank. I have no doubt that you get 500-600 kilometers out of this car without too much effort. It is a very, very good car on fuel, and when you're just driving around, it pretty much immediately goes into EV mode, and what that means is it turns electric motor off, and it turns the petrol motor off and runs an electric motor. So even now at about 60-70, it's running the electric motor. In the old days, the car they got teaming up a lot more, but now they really aggressively use the electric motor, and it's fine. Once the battery is charged up, it uses electric motor a lot. So let's look at other things now, because I think the experience of driving is really nice. It's fun to punt around. I'd like a 4-cylinder motor that's normal without a hybrid version, because I think it'd be a fun, hot hatchy style of car. Like, what if they put like the engine from the GR Yaris into this car? That'd be so much fun. Like a 260 horsepower engine would be crazy. But a manual gearbox would be great. But honestly, it's a nice car to drive. I'm not saying it's a sporty car. I'm not saying it's a hot hatch. I'm not saying any of those things. If you want that, maybe go and get a proper hot hatch like a Renault Megane or something. But it's fun. Like, it just feels nice to drive. It doesn't feel boring. It's sort of an interesting comparison between this and the Mazda 3, which also sort of is in the same boat. It's very expensive, the Mazda 3. But it's got the same sort of engine. It's not the most powerful engine in the world, but it feels nice, man. It feels nice to drive around. Also struggles in the back seat. It's not great in the back seat. The Mazda 3 is really where this car is aimed at. I think the Mazda is a little bit better, a little bit more power, that's for sure. But overall, I'm not complaining about the powertrain. I wish it wasn't so expensive, but hybrid cars are expensive. The advantage is you don't stop for fuel so much. And obviously, you're saving the environment. So if that's what matters to you, this is a car to get. Definitely get a car that saves petrol and saves the environment. And right now, I'm at 82 kilometers per hour and it's on full EV mode. That's pretty cool. I'm not polluting the world. That is good enough for me. Definitely not complaining. What else about the driving experience? Now that we sort out handling, braking, yeah, okay. I mean, it brakes, but it's not what I would describe as very sharp braking. So it's no sports car. Handling good, feel good, general power okay. Noise, tires a little bit noisy. It's got these sort of eco tires that are really good for things like, the environment, and they obviously reduce rolling resistance. If you change the tires on this car, you could affect the fuel consumption. That's the honest fact. If your car has like sporty tires, you will basically negate the whole point of it, which is to be economical. Grip from the tires, okay. This guy's on completely the wrong side of the road. I don't know where he's going. Sorry about that. Grip's okay from the front end. Refinement, there is a bit of wind noise. It's not too bad. I could live with it. Okay, so back again after the camera fell down. But just finishing up my thoughts. Really quite refined at speed. There is a bit of wind noise. Not so much tire noise now, but a bunch of wind noise. I'm doing about 110. It is noisy. It's a small car. The biggest complaint I have about this car, and it's not a huge one, is that the engine's a little noisy. It's just a sort of thrashy 4-cylinder engine, and I kind of wish it wasn't. I wish it was slightly nicer engine note, but hey ho. Other than that, the only other complaint about this car is the price. It's really expensive, and it should be 60,000-70,000 dirhams with a 4-cylinder. Forget the hybrid system. You don't need the hybrid system. You can just ditch it entirely, and there will be a great competitor to the likes of the Nissan Kicks. The Juke was a great car, very similar actually. The Juke was also a very funky car with lots of power for the segment, but this car honestly should be in that price range and taking the fight for young people to give them an interesting car. There's no way they should be in a Nissan Sunny or something going like that. Put them in a CHR. They learn about driving, they'll enjoy the looks of the car and the feel and the technology. It's got CarPlay. What else do we need in the car now? Why do you want to put them in something boring? This car at least teaches them about handling. So I like this car. It's probably my favorite little compact car of the year. In fact, it's probably the only compact car I've driven in this crazy 2020. I think it's probably my favorite of the year. And on that happy note, thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, etc. Leave me a question. Leave me a nice comment, please. I know everybody just loves to leave comments on there that are pretty nasty. And, well, I don't really care. It can get a bit tiring sometimes. I'm going to be honest with you. It gets a bit tiring to read people just telling you nasty stuff all the time. You wouldn't like it if it happened to you. And on that hopeful question point, see you next time.